What's up, YouTube? How's everyone doing this lovely day? It's your boy Reg in the building. Got my homeboy Troy with me.
Yep.
And today we are going to do our top 15 hip hop albums of 2007. You know what I'm saying? This is a list I really cannot wait to make, honestly. 2007 has really been like one of my favorite years in hip hop and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Such a lot of dope shit happened this year and things of that nature. A lot of rappers made dope comebacks this year. A lot of quality shit. You know what I'm saying? In terms of like quality wise, I kind of prefer '07
Mhm.
over '06 or '05 hip hop wise and shit like that. But that's another story for a different day. Without further ado, let's get this shit started. My first album for my number 15. Honestly, it's not really one of my favorites on this list, but I really just put this album on this list just for impact wise. It's 50 Cent with Curtis. Um, this came out in September 11, 2007. You know, it came out the same day of Kanye West's graduation. More on that album later and whatnot. Yeah, man, this one was pretty. It was a pretty interesting album. You know, honest, probably one of his weak. Yeah, because I kind of prefer Before I Self Destruct and Animal Ambition over
Really?
this one.
And I don't like those.
It's not like it's a bad album, honestly. It just had a lot of soft commercial kind of songs and shit like that. Now, like, because I think originally this album got fucking pushed back.
Mm,
This album got
yeah.
pushed back and shit like that too. Because originally it was supposed to have, I want to say originally it was supposed to have came out after Before I Self, because Before I Self Destruct was supposed to have been came out in '07, but then he pushed that album back to
Mhm.
like oh well originally to '08, but he got pushed back eventually to '09 and
Right.
things like that too. And he pretty much called this album originally Curtis SSK, which stood for South Skins Killer and
Mhm.
stuff like that too. You know what I'm saying? At one point, this album was supposed to have been a double disc album and shit, but it eventually
Really,
became
Curtis?
a single disc. Yeah,
I never knew that. Oh
yeah.
wow.
I never knew that too until I researched it, but
Mm,
yeah, man. But then this album has dope songs like "I Still Kill" with Akon was pretty good.
yeah.
"I Get Money" that was pretty much a song that really saved the album because those
They
first couple of
overplayed that.
singles,
They overplayed
yeah,
that.
because those first singles like "Straight to the Bank" and "Amusement Park" kind of underperformed and whatnot. It did have some trash too, like "Peep Show" with Eminem. I didn't care for that one. "Touch the
Yeah.
Sky" with Tony Yayo. uh,
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it had its good song, it had its bad songs and shit like that. So that's why I most just put it on number 15 for the impact and shit
Right.
too. So, yeah,
15. I got a surprise. It's the Killer Priest with the Offering. Very dope album. I think people only associate Killer Priest with his first album, Heavy Mental, and that's it. But this album was dope. And you had producer God's Wrath do most of the album. Four Disciple did a track, and Sam Snead even did a track on here. And you got the I don't even know what label he was on at this point, but they didn't promote this album because he had some big names on this album. You got Nas on Gun for Gun, Rivers of Blood. That was a dope joint. That should have had a should have been a single. Uprising was dope. In the Chief featuring the Four Horsemen. Corrupt had the best verse on that. That was produced by Four Disciple. Cannabis verse was dope. Ghetto Jesus, Truth Be Told, those were some bangers. Definitely a solid album, Killer Piece, and I love the album cover. He had like that stained glass church design on it. He almost looked like Mace on that album cover. If you ever seen the album cover, he looks
yeah,
like
that's on my
Mace.
list.
He looks like Mace on it. I thought it looked like if you look at it, it's like you would swear it was Mace on the album cover. But yeah, that was a solid Killer Priest album. So
That's what's up. That's what's up. Um, My number 14 is Starface with the Maid Album. This came out in 2007. Very, very, very dope album in my
That's
opinion.
that's on my honorable mentions.
Dope. A bit commercial in some parts
You think
and
so?
shit, but some parts, but
Trey
not
Songz,
bad.
the Trey Songz
Yeah,
joint. Yeah,
yeah, not bad commercial though. You know what I'm saying? Not bad commercial, but it has some dope. So I love that song "Never." I love that track.
that was
Um,
fire.
yeah,
That joint.
Boy Meets Girl was pretty cool. You know what I'm saying? Suicide Note that definitely has some diary vibes within it and shit. You know what I'm saying? This was a very dope record. I feel like it's kind of slept on and shit.
Definitely. Number 14 for me is Evidence, the Weatherman LP. His first solo album, coming from Dolly Peoples, being going solo, and I definitely enjoyed the production. He had joints Mr. Slowflow, that was a banger. Down in New York City, Chase the Clouds Away. I love that sample for that track. I know definitely a banger. My favorite Evidence album is Whether or Not. I think that was a classic. But the Weatherman album was definitely fire. It had some bangers on there, and I love Evidence production and Alchemist production. Really dope album.
Yeah. My number 13 is Karis One and Marley Marls with Hip Hop Lives. Now, in all honesty, this album should have came out years earlier than '07, and especially not on Cock Records and shit, honestly. 'Cause I felt like,
Keep
I mean,
calling it pop record.
Koch, whatever. I mean, don't get me wrong, it did good numbers. Like, it was number 8 on the rap albums charts, number 23 R&B hip hop albums charts. I mean, that was pretty solid numbers for itself, but I just felt like it wasn't as promoted as well and shit too. Because with this album, they pretty much wanted to do this album because of the fact that Nas did the whole Hip Hop Is Dead album, and so Marley Marl wants to say Hip Hop Lives and shit too. You know what I'm saying? This album, I love this song, the title track. That's my one of my all-time favorite, all-time favorite tracks and shit like that. I want to say that's one of my introductions to Karis One, honestly.
Right.
Rising to the Top was pretty good. You know, you said what?
That was fire. That was dope.
Yeah, the teacher's back. You know what I'm saying? I felt like this album kind of gets slept on. Like I said, if this would have came out like the mid to late '90s, yeah, I feel like it would have gotten fared much better. But at this time, we were spoiled by Soldier Boy, I guess. So yeah,
Oh, not Soldier Boy. Oh man.
I remember there was a Rap City interview where Harris wanted. He actually was doing an interview with Soldier Boy and shit too. But he was pretty much saying how he was saying how Soldier Boy, people the older cats just don't get Soldier Boy, and I'm thinking to myself, so you're advocating for Soldier Boy, but you were beefing with Nelly. Okay, all right,
Exactly. I don't understand that.
yeah, yeah, and don't get I respect Kara. I love Kara's one, and y'all know how I feel about Nelly. I was just like, because this is around the time when Ice T, Spice One was really getting that Soldier Boy. Like a lot of the older generations. And I'm grateful that Karis One was trying to like ease the tension and shit too, but it just kind of struck me fancy and shit. I don't know.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, if I find a link, I'll post it.
Um, Number 13, I got a surprise to this list, and this is an artist that I felt like his mixtapes in the 2000s were better, and even now, like his mixtape stuff is better than his albums. I don't feel like he has any classics, but I do feel like a couple of his albums were solid. So for this year, I'm putting Fabulous from Nothing to Something, number 13.
Oh
One
hell
of his
no.
best albums, in my opinion, the Brooklyn joint with Jay Z. That was everywhere. Jay Z and Uncle Murder. The Make Me Better joint with Neo. They sampled the Rainy Days joint from Raekwon's album. Timbaland produced that. That was a big hit. Title track was dope. What else? What else on here I liked? Was it Gangsters? Gangsters Don't Play with Junior Reed. That was a big hit. Love Junior Reed. You know, he brought that reggae vibe to the track, and this was solid, but it's not a classic. Fabulous has no classics. You know, I know there's people mad at me because I said that online. I don't give a fuck. He has no classic albums. He will never be the heir to the throne of Jay Z or Biggie. You
Or maybe.
know, or AZ. You know, I mean, we could keep going. There's a lot of to me, a lot of Brooklyn MCs is better than him. You know, everybody in Duck Down better than him. AZ better than him. You know, MC Light better than him. You know what I'm saying? So he has some dope stuff. Some his mixtapes are better, but I don't. You know, there's people that you know. I remember saying last week online that Fabulous has no classic albums. I've been saying that. You know, people got in their feelings and you know they didn't like what I had to say. But I'm like, hey, where were y'all motherfuckers in '07 when this came out? I ain't nobody say it was a classic then. You know what I'm saying? So no, he doesn't have no classics, nothing of classic material. But he has some solid. So Street Dreams is really my favorite album from him. I think Street Dreams was a great album. Ghetto Fabulous was dope. You know, Loso's Way was dope. But ain't none of those albums classic. He doesn't have a Ready to Die or Illmatic type of album. You know, so but this is definitely has some bangers on it. Nothing so.
Yeah. I posted that interview on the group, by the way.
Okay.
My number 12 is Common with Finding Forever. This came out 2 years after Big and things like that. This one, I feel like they try to recreate what they did on B and stuff like that too. You know what I'm saying? Which again, not a bad album. I fuck with this album and shit too, but I just felt like it was like a lot of singing on this album and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Whereas like B was just a back to the basics kind of album and stuff too. I mean, I love songs like "I Want You." That's my fucking shit. So far to go, which that was actually on Jay Dilla's compilation and shit. I think it's called The Shining.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's on there with D'Angelo.
yeah. Southside was pretty good too. The People, I think that's what really made me want to check the album out and stuff like that. You know, I remember days like when Rap City was bumping and days when like Rap City 106 I used to play songs off this album and shit too and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So this was a very dope record. It's not a classic, but it's better than most common records after this time, in my opinion. So
Okay, we got number 12. I got Talib Kweli with Eardrum.
that's my next one too.
Talib Kweli, definitely
Yeah.
and like this. This is the first time I'm hearing this album because I have the first two albums. I thought Quality to me was still his best album, but Eardrum was good. Definitely, he had a lot of producers on here. A lot of producers, High Tech and Battle Cat, Pete Rock, Kanye, Madlib, Just Blaze. Got a lot of different producers on here that gave him different sounds. I love the song Country Cover with BBK and Raheem Devon. I think he should have had a video for that because he's like rapping fast and you know like sort of like paying homage to like his southern hip hop friends, you know, down south and that should have been a single. That was dope. Say Something with Jean Grey. Really like that one. In the Mood with Kanye and Roy Ayers. Love that beat by Kanye. He killed it as always with his guest feature. Soon the New Day with Noah Jones. I like that. That should have had a video. The Perfect Beat with Karis One. That was a banging track. This was definitely an all around solid project with so many different various producers on this album. And I don't hear nobody mention this album. You know what I'm saying? Like it's always Black Star, but then when you get the Talib's discography, it's like you hear crickets. Nobody mentions his albums. You know, he has some crap though. I didn't care for Gutter Rainbows and that prisoner was a prisoner of conscience or something like that. But Eardrum was solid. Liberation that album he did with Madlib was solid. I think Quality was a great album. So this was dope.
Dope, dope. Yeah, that's actually one of my favorite Talib albums. I'm not the biggest Talib Kweli fan and shit like that, but
Like,
when it comes to this album and shit like that,
mm,
it definitely represented a time and whatnot in hip hop. You know, that whole alternative soulful kind of sound and
right,
shit too. You know, because this was definitely like one of his most soulful albums and shit.
okay,
I love songs like Hot Thing again. Well, I Am was on that joint right there. Country Cousins with UGK and Raheem Devon. That was a dope record as well too. In the Mood with Roy Ayers and Kanye West. You know what I'm saying? Listen was pretty good and shit. It's a bit too long for my taste, honestly, but
yeah,
it does not really. I feel like mm, next next to what's that one? Quality
uh-huh,
and the joint he did with the Liberation joint with Madlib. This
right.
might be my favorite album from him and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Everything else, I can keep that.
Because he had like so many damn producers. He had to come out with a long album. He had
Right.
like 20 something different producers on this album. Like, what the hell?
And he didn't have that before and shit.
Right. He never did that before. So yeah, that was definitely a different type of album for him, you know. Number 11, I got Ti with Ti versus Tip. Definitely a dope album. We did a review on this. I think it was last year we did that. This was dope. It had some joints on here. Big Things Popping was the first single. We had You Know What It Is with Wyclef, one of my favorites on here. We had Hurt with Alpha, Omega, and Busta Rhymes. Watch What You Say to Me featuring Jay Z. I like that joint. I think Jay was taking shots at somebody on there. Somebody,
Yeah,
somebody was getting
it was allegedly it was Lil Wayne.
Little Wayne, right, right. That's when that whole Weezy, that whole Carter thing happened. Was happening. Touchdown with Eminem was dope. Yeah, Wyclef on another joint called My Swag. He was on that. Definitely a banging album. You know what I'm saying? Like at this point, Ti to me could have been considered one of the best out of the South. I definitely feel like he had a 6 album run. This is one of these albums. So definitely a solid album, solid production from Just Blaze and Manny Fresh. Wyclef did some joints. You had the Runners and Timberland, and it was great. Definitely a good album.
Yeah, I definitely hear what you're saying about that. Now we're gonna get top 10. My number 10 is UGK with the self-titled album Underground Kings. Um, this came out in 2007. This was the first album that came out after Pimp C came out of jail, prison, excuse me, and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Um, very, very, very dope record. I feel like everyone just knows this for International Players Anthem, which, again, that's a dope record. I love that song, but I feel like I have more songs of quality. Like
Right.
Life in 2009 with Too Short was dope. I loved Next Up with Kane and Coogee Rap. I loved Real Women with Talib and Raheem Devon. Again, returning the favor for the eardrum and shit. Still Riding Dirty with Scarface and shit too. I feel like this album was very, very, very dope and whatnot too. I feel like it's definitely a very underrated album. Well, is it really underrated? I mean, I feel like people only know this really for International Players Anthem, and I feel like Pimp C's death kind of overshadowed it, in my opinion,
Right.
and stuff. Because around this time too, Pimp C was going after like a lot of rappers claiming that they from Atlanta when they not, and a lot of these like that infamous radio interview. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And shit. Yeah,
Yes. Number 10 for me is an album that gets too much posing. I think it's a poser type of album. It's a dope album, but I see too many people with it like it's the holy grail of all hip hop albums, and it's not. Blue in Exile, Below the Heavens.
Oh God.
Produced by Exile. This was a dope album, but in when this album came out, I didn't see no type of praise for this album like that. And like, many years later now, it's like it's become like the poser album to post up. So I'm a hip hop head. Let me post a picture with Below the Heavens on vinyl. And I just think that's whack. But the album is dope. You know what I'm saying? I liked a lot of the songs on here. Narrow Path and Remembrance of Me. Blue Collar Workers was dope. Dancing in the Rain. He has some features on here. Aloe Black was on Show Me the Good Life. You got Miguel Jontel on 2 tracks, and it was dope. But it just it's become a poser album. You know what I'm saying? It's like, come on, man. This album is like not Illmatic in no way. And Pop Matters placed this album. I guess that's a magazine or something. Pop Matters placed this album number 56 on this list of best albums of 2007. In 2015, Hip Hop DX deemed it one of the 30 best underground hip hop albums since 2000. One of the 30 best underground hip hop albums since 2000.
Wow.
That's what they felt. So again, I didn't hear nothing about this album when it dropped, in '07. So yeah, it has like a cult following now. Yeah, it was dope album.
Definitely, definitely. My number nine is Killer Priest with the Offering. Um, Probably one of my favorite Killer Priest albums and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? This one, he definitely stepped his pen game up. This one, I
Yes.
love songs like Uprising, Priesthood, Gun for Gun with Nas was pretty dope and shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, this was pretty like straightforward lyrical album. If you love Killer Priest, you'll know exactly what you're about to get into and shit.
Facts. Number 9 for me is this is an album that we're planning on discussing at some point. Um, and it's another album from this group that doesn't get mentioned at all. It's only their first two. Wu-Tang Clan, 8 Diagrams. Definitely enjoy this album. Now this album, I remember getting this album the day it dropped because they switched labels. They went on Steve Rifkin had his own label, SRC Records. I think that's like under Sony or whatever. And this was a different album for them. Like you had what was it? Take It Back. That was produced by Ismo B. That was the first single. The Heart Gently Weeps. That was the Beatles track. They did a rendition with Erykah Badu. She's on that. Um, we had some joints though. Campfire was dope. Windmill, Weak Spot, Run Will Go. They had Joe Albright on the track. I think Joe Alston on the track. I think Stick Me for My Riches. That was a dope one. This had some joints. It's not a great album. I don't even think all the members is on this album because I don't remember hearing Raekwon on none of these tracks. It might have been on one maybe. Somebody was missing. I know Raekwon was beefing with RZA like around this time I think.
I think it
Um,
was Rick.
yeah, you know what I'm saying. So it's not all the members are on here. I don't even remember hearing like Ghost on. I think Ghost was on like one track maybe, but it didn't feel like a complete Wu album, and but it had some joints. It wasn't promoted. I'm like they left Loud and went with Steve Rifkin for his new label, and he still didn't promote it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, the limited this is limited edition. The limited edition one comes with a DVD, and it has a documentary about the legacy of Wu-Tang Clan and way before they even thought about making a bio documentary or biopic on well, not even biopic that Showtime documentary. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, this one has some joints on it, but it's not a good album at all. Like,
feel you. Um, where we at now?
Number nine.
Number 8,
Yeah.
I got Percy P with Perseverance. This is his only album that he came out with. Percy P is pretty much an underground hip hop legend. DITC, all my DITC fans, y'all should know about him and stuff like that too. You know what I'm saying? Definitely one of the most illest lyricists and shit. He only came out with one album, but he appeared on like a lot of motherfucking songs. This is a pretty dope record. I like songs like Two Brothers from a Gutter with Diamond D was pretty good. By the way, Madlib produced his whole album. By the way, um, I love The Lady Behind Me was cool. I love No Time for Jokes with a Charlie 229 sample and stuff too. You know what I'm saying? Definitely to get my hands on this record right here. Percy P Perseverance.
Underrated. Number 8, I got DJ Jazzy Jeff, Return of the Magnificent. Really like this album. I like the first Magnificent album and how he had like underground hip hop artists with R&B. I think Sean Stockton from Boyz II Men was on that first album. This album is the same format. We had a lot of big names on this album. Positive News from De La Soul, Big Daddy King, Gene Gray, Method Man, Cardinal Official, Raheem Devon. All of those songs are banging. I love the Raheem Devon track, My Story for Sale. That was like a dope neo soul track. Love the beat and the bass line for that. We needed a video for that. The Hold It Down joint, Method Man was fire. The Gene Gray, Super Gene was dope. The Big Daddy Kane joint, The Garden, that was a fire joint. Definitely love the production from Jazzy Jeff. He's underrated, man. Like the stuff he's done for like Joe Scott and for Weak Soul Child and a lot of those neo soul artists in the 2000s was dope. Definitely a man.
Yeah, definitely. Next album is T.I. versus T.I.P. This is my number 7. Or we got number 7. Yeah, number 7. One of my favorite T.I. albums and one of his most underrated, if you ask me. This came out around the time when his friend got killed and shit. You know what I'm saying? One year after 1 year after what I consider like his more breakout period with the ATL movie and the King album. We got to talk about ATL one day. We got to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, King album and shit too. Because I think originally they were trying to make the King album the ATL soundtrack
Oh wow.
and shit like that. I want to say, but I could be wrong on that. Okay, we do have to talk about King as well too and shit.
Yes.
So yeah, but this album was like a lot more darker, to say the least, and shit too. Because the reason why he called it TIP was because it's supposed to be the hip hop side versus the businessman side. People called him the Jay-Z of the South and shit too. I love songs like Big Shit Poppin', fucking Help Us Come was pretty good. Watch What You Say to Me was actually I think my favorite track off this album. Um, I didn't care for Touchdown, Show It to Me, and I think this was like the only track I didn't really care for and stuff like that. But really, this album to me, I feel like it's definitely one of his best albums. I feel like Don't Really Get It's Just Deep. That's just my personal opinion.
Right. So, number 7 for me is Curtis 50 Cent. Now this album, I remember when him and Kanye was going at it, for the album battle, and they had them on Liberation Park, and they had the Rolling Stone cover facing off against each other. And Graduation definitely won, and I remember buying this when this came out, and there was some joints. It wasn't to me. It was a disappointment compared to the first, compared to the previous albums from him. But like I Get Money definitely saved this album because that song was everywhere. That's probably the big hit for '07. dropped some. Then it was, I remember it being delayed. He dropped straight out the bank, straight to the bank, and that was like an early like teaser single or whatever. Man Down was dope. Follow My Lead with Robin Thicke. AO Technology I like, but it sounds outdated now. I used to
Yeah,
love it. Now it sounds outdated. Um, I'll Still Kill with Akon was dope. But it's not a great album. Like to me, I feel like Powder Dollar was better. Get Rich or Die Trying, of course, and even Massacre. And I think this is for me. This is when 50 started going downhill with his albums. Like he was still dropping mixtapes too at this time. His
yeah.
mixtapes was still good, but it's like his albums started to go. I don't know what is it with these niggas that was dropping mixtapes and albums in the 2000s, and their mixtapes were better. Like Fabulous, 50, D Block. Like niggas is dropping an album today, and then like a week tomorrow, like a week from tomorrow, they dropping a mixtape. I never understood that because they wasn't promoting the album, but they promoting the mixtape more.
You know what it was?
Mm.
Because I feel like some of them tracks has simple clearance issues and stuff too, or
Right.
they could be also having issues with their label, which is why sometimes like you'll have. And this was something I didn't understand too until I really understood the music business and shit like that. Cause like you know how like motherfucking artists and shit like that, like the mixtapes, they have like the more creative control and some bullshit. But when it comes to the albums, he's like what the label wants and shit like that too. But it's just like a lot of bullshit here and there and stuff like that too. So it's just
Right.
like 'cause I know, like I said, he was going through like a lot with Interscope Records around that time
Yeah.
too.
Want to leave? Yeah.
Yeah,
And even with the album cover booklet, those pictures with that chick, that's Sierra. Like I wonder how Russell Westbrook must feel looking back at that shit. Like, does he ever talk about that with Sierra? Like, what was you doing with
I
50
mean,
ass?
that was years ago. He's with her now and shit. I mean,
I would
this is a girl. This is a girl that's been with Bow Wow and Future and shit like
right,
that too. So 50
right.
Cent, compared to what those two done to her, 50 Cent is like at least the bottom pool.
You know what I'm
I don't
saying?
even think 50
Mm.
I don't even think 50 did any harm to anyway. So
I remember when this album came out and people kept talking about the pictures in the booklet and is that Sierra? I'm like, yeah, that's Sierra, and she made it know. It's not like she was hiding her face. Like she made it known like that's who she was with at that time. And I went to a Knicks game. I went to a Knicks game and they both was there. They were like in the front row. You know what I'm saying? So they was like she was dating 50 at this time and 50 was bold with it. He was like, I'm putting this bitch in my album booklet. You know. So I'm like, do Russell Westbrook even like remember shit like this? You know? But yeah, this it has some joints, but it's not a classic album. I didn't understand at that point like why these niggas was dropping a new album and then next week you dropping a mixtape and your mixtape is getting more promotion than the album. I didn't understand that. 50 was still dropping fire mixtapes too. He was still dropping, the was it the War Angel album mixtape came out. He had the South Suicide the was the Street King Immortal mixtape that came out, and he was still dropping fire mixtapes. But I'm like, your album got stuck on them. Your
they
album you
they'll
should promote.
also they'll also try to copy Lil Wayne's method because mind you, Lil Wayne was working on the Carter 3. He was appearing on everyone's guest appearances, doing
Right.
mixtapes. Niggas
That's
were
true.
trying to copy Wayne's method of mixtape and shit like that.
Wayne had it on lock.
He
Weezy
had
had it on lock in the 2000s, man. Once Carter first Carter dropped, that was it. That was like he went on an epic run for any artist or any genre at that point. And they said he had a mixtape coming out like every week. Every week he had a
exactly.
mixtape coming out with unreleased joints, with album joints, with guest features. They used to have CDs they would make with nothing but Wheezy guest features, and it'd be like shit from like Danny D. Kane to Lloyd to the clips and him and Jewels, all the Jewel shit that they never dropped. I'm like they couldn't fuck with Wheezy. Wheezy was on a different lane at that
Right.
point.
All right. Number 6, I got Pharaoh Monch with Desire. This one was just another long awaited album people had to wait for because this came out 8 years after Internal Affairs and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? And at that time, he was a lot of labels wanted to sign him, including Bad Boy Records
Oh Lord.
and Shady Records.
What? Pharaoh Monch?
Yeah,
Thank God he didn't sign with him. He would have ruined his
thank God,
career. Holy shit!
thank
I
God.
didn't even know that.
Yeah, and
Wow.
so and at that time, he was just appearing on mixtapes or appearances and shit like that too. So then
Yeah.
he dropped the Desire album in 2007, and it's like I didn't really get into film Monch until like Organized Confusion. I want to say like a year or two later, but I remember like seeing the commercial. It was either a commercial or something about this album and
Right.
shit too. You know what I'm saying? This album is straight up fire. I feel like if you look at Pharaoh Monch's solo discography and whatnot, I feel like this is his. Each album was consistent as hell. This is actually my
Right.
second favorite album from him. Of course, my first being Eternal Affairs and shit like that.
Right.
Um, my all-time favorite track was his cover of "Welcome to the Terror Dome." Oh my fucking god, that shit right there, fire. Chuck D would be fucking proud of that. When the gun draws was pretty good. Desire, one of Alchemist's best beats in my opinion.
Yes. Okay.
Free, like my god. I mean, this is how you do a rap comeback album. This is exactly how you do a rap comeback album and shit. So,
Facts.
and I had this album in my collection too. So hopefully, once I finish the Organized Confusion album, I can go to that one and shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely got to talk about this stuff.
Yeah, I know the second album was the first review I've done, but I don't.
Right.
I got the first album. I don't have the third album though.
Yeah. The first one I have. I don't have. I have the stress album.
Same.
Um, that Desire joint. I love that song because that was part of the Madden '08 soundtrack.
Oh shit, I remember that shit.
Yeah, it was Vince Young on the cover. That was
Yeah.
like the first one I bought for Xbox when I had the Xbox 360. Was that, and they always used to play that. So I'm like, yeah, I remember that song and seeing the video for that. My number 6 is Jay-Z with American Gangster, and I see a lot of Diddy produced tracks, and we know damn well Diddy don't produce. I see his name all over this album. I don't know why, but you know, you got Mario Winans on producing stuff on here. The Neptunes, Just Blaze, No ID, Jermaine Dupri. We did an album review on this a couple years ago. This was a dope album. This was solid. This to me was like still Jay Z and his. You know, I'm a drug dealer vibe. Hello Brooklyn 2.0 with Weezy. That was fire. Enjoyed that track. You needed a video for that. Rock Boys was big hit off of this album. I Know with produced by the Neptunes. I really like that one. Big Doing Shit with Beans. Yeah, some joints here. Blue Magic was a bonus track. Definitely. Um, I want to say this is like my last favorite Jay Z album. The last solid one. I didn't like nothing else after this. All that Kingdom Come was not a great return album from, and I didn't like Magna Carta was shit. I didn't like 444 is overrated. This was like the last Jay Z album that I really enjoyed. So,
Yeah, I'm gonna say my thoughts on that album and shit. My number five, we're at the top five now. I got Sean Price with Jesus Christ Superstar.
yes.
Yeah, man. Now we can get into some good shit right here. This album came out I think 2 years after the Monkey Bars album. Love this fucking record. We talked about this album too and shit.
Yes.
This album was known for songs like Peabody with Rock was pretty good. I love you already know Skazoo Church was dope and shit. Violent was good, you know. This whole fucking album was very, very, very dope in my opinion, and I fuck with it. You know, I think my favorite might honestly be the Mike Tyson album and shit. But
A lot of people love that. Mike Tyson was dope, definitely.
yeah, yeah, all his albums are pretty good, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, this album was definitely one of my favorites and shit.
All right, number 5 for me. This was like a late entry. Number 5 for me, Young Buck, Buck the World. Definitely enjoyed this album. This album was solid. I want to say it might be even better than his first one on when he was a part of G Unit. I love a lot of the production. He had a lot of features on here. I Ain't Fucking With You with Trick Daddy and Snoop, produced by High Tech. That was a banger. We had Get Buck produced by Polo the Don. That was a single. Um, what else I liked on here? Hold On with 50 Cent, produced by Dre. That was a banger. You had a song he did, even Chester Bennington from Linkin Park. And on the song, Chester Bennington is singing He Doesn't Want to Live No More. And I thought that was eerie because he ended up killing himself later on. So I thought that was like an eerie track, and you know, just to hear him like he's singing literally like he doesn't want to be here no more. Um, you had Haters with Cocaine. That was another banger. You Ain't Going Nowhere with Latoya, featuring Latoya Williams, produced by Dre. You have Four Kings, posse cut with Pimp C, Young Jeezy, and T.I. That was banging. A whole album was banging. And then you got the bonus track with the 50 Cent diss to Cameron, Funeral Music. And 50 Cent threw that in there as a hidden track. And that was, I remember when that whole beef with him and Cameron happened, and he had did the video for Funeral Music, and that was hilarious. And at the end of the video, it showed Cameron getting his Lambo shot up because he had the shooting in Baltimore. They shot up his Lambo, and he ended up getting shot in the arm or something like that.
Yeah,
Um, I think that was when he was his mom had I think his mom had moved to Baltimore. He was like visiting his mom, and they shot up the Lambo on the highway or whatever. And that was part of the whole video, and but that was the hidden bonus track, was the Funeral Music track on here. But this is definitely a solid Young Buck album. I don't hear nobody mention this album. Definitely enjoyed it.
yeah, I'm not the biggest Buck fan and shit. Wasn't that his last album, by the way?
I think that was the last one. I think that was the last one on G Unit, because him and
Oh,
50, like one minute they cool, the next minute they on the outs. That was, he only released 2 albums. He released Straight Outta Cashville and Buck the World, and then he did the stuff with G Unit.
I feel you. All right,
So I got the whole Young Buck collection. Are you serious? I didn't
my
realize that.
number, shit. My number 4 is Styles P, Super Gangster, Extraordinary Gentleman. This came out the same day as UGK's Underground Kings and stuff like that too. You know what I'm saying? Probably my favorite album from Styles P. I'm not gonna hold you.
That was dope.
And shit. Um, this has classic joints like fucking "Cause I'm Black" with Black Thought, "Blow Your Mind" with Swiss Beats. That was like a big single back at that time. Got My Eyes on You with Akon was pretty good. William Piece of Paper was dope too. You know, Holiday with Max B. Fire, fire, fire. It definitely has like a fucking street feel to it and shit too. So yeah.
I totally forgot that came out that year. The Styles was just dropping like mixtapes all the time, and then a lot of his albums got pushed back. I'm like, what the hell? When did this drop? You know, my number 4 for me is Common, Finding Forever. Really like this album. I feel like it's a continuation from B. Kanye, damn well, he produced most of the album. I Want You with Will I Am, that was a big hit. The People with Dwale, that was fire. Driving Me Wild with Lily Allen. Lily Allen, she made some noise, early on, and then she fell the fuck off. I think she had some kids or whatever. But that was a dope song. So far to go, one of my favorites on this album. Break My Heart. And that beat, Break My Heart, it sounded like a Premier beat. I really thought Premier produced that joint. Like the way Kanye used those drums on that track, but I think that was my favorite song on it. Was Break My Heart. Love that sample. This was dope. This is definitely a solid album. I don't hear a lot of fans mention this album. After B is like pretty much. I guess they feel like his discography went downhill after that, but this was a solid album, definitely.
Yeah, I definitely understand what you're coming from. Track number, I mean, album number three. I got Lupe Fiasco with the fucking Cool album. This is his second studio album. Very dope record in my opinion. Definitely was a big album back at the time too. Came out 1 year after Food and Liquor. You know what I'm saying? Pretty much was a continuation of that album and stuff too. I love songs like Superstar with Matthew Santos. Oh my god. I play that joint to this day. I still get chills from that. Dumb It Down. Him and Soundtrack, man, they were just a fucking team. Streets on Fire and shit. To me, his last great album, in my opinion. Everything else that came after was
Yeah,
just
facts. Number three for me is the Mac is motherfucking back. Prodigy and Alchemist returning to Mac, one of his best albums as a solo artist to me. And I remember when this joint dropped, and a lot of people was playing different joints. Stuck on You was one of my favorites. Rotten Apple is my joint though. Rotten Apple, that beat was just fire, and there's a freestyle that Sean Price did on the Master P mixtape with him and Prodigy, and that was fire. And ironically, they both no longer here. Both rest in peace to both P's. And um, you had Mac 10 Handle was a banger. Nickel and the Nail. My Priorities, really enjoyed that song. I think I played like two or three joints on this from this album during the Alchemist battle alone. Like this, it was that good to me. Like and to me, Prodigy had like some dope albums, man. Like this album, I love HNIC Part Two. I love Albert Einstein. Even at the Albert Johnson album had some bangers. This is definitely one of my favorite Prodigy projects. Rest in peace, Prodigy.
I definitely hear what you're saying. Album number two is Jay-Z with American Gangster. Love this fucking record. It's me one of Jay's best and most underrated record in my opinion. Shit. You know what I'm saying? Fucking songs like Hello Brooklyn, Rock Boys, Ignorant Shit, Say Hello, are my favorite track off that album. I forgot DJ Two produced that fucking beat and shit. I forgot Blue Magic. I mean, this was the album that really made me a fan of Jay and shit like that. Honestly, and shit too. So yeah, man. When he dropped the Blueprint 2 years after, I was just so disappointed.
Right. Number two for me is Ye with Graduation. Love this fucking album. It's a classic in my opinion. And this to me definitely beat out Curtis, but by miles. A way better album. And you had joints like Good Morning. I love that song. Flashing Lights is my favorite on there with Wale. Champion, Barry Bonds, and Weezy. And ironically, I saw a picture on Instagram with Barry Bonds and Weezy. So that was it's ironic how I saw that this morning on there. And definitely a banging album. And man, like Kanye couldn't be fucked with at this point. He was in the zone. Man, this is definitely one of his best albums. I don't see how people don't mention this album. They mention College Dropout and Late Registration and Doctors of Fantasy. They don't mention Graduation. Graduation was solid. I can't find a bad song on this album. I think it's definitely a classic album. And I love the album cover, very iconic with the beer, shooting out of like the don't know what that like shooting out of. Like, it was like a missile launcher or something. Definitely an iconic album cover. Yeah, this is a great album.
That's actually my number one.
It was gonna be my number one, but then I was like, there's another album that I played more than that one.
Yeah, man. This is actually my number one.
Mm,
My first hip hop album ever in my collection, honestly.
yeah,
I love songs like I Wonder. Barry Bonds was pretty good. Flashing Lights was amazing. And mind you, he dropped a mixtape before this album came out. The Can't Tell Me Nothing mixtape, where it was his pretty much songs that he produced, guest
right,
appearances, and whatnot. He had a few snippets here and there and shit like that too. He did his own version of Throw Some D's. Y'all remember that some Throw Some D's on the just
that's some
about it.
D's on. Yeah.
That's my shit though. I'm not gonna hold you.
Oh yeah,
Um, yeah, man. This whole album definitely he wanted to like have like a stadium rock feel, incorporating synthesizers and shit like that too with this album. Very, very different, which again, people are not using like synths on their records. Well, people use synths way before graduation. Let me stop because Swiss beats and shit, but the way he did it, it just made it beyond hip hop if that makes sense.
right. Number one for me. This is the album that I played the most in '07 that I still play now. To me, it's the best album. Sean Price with Jesus Price Superstar. Rest in peace, Sean Price.
Dope.
I love it. I love this album. And the minute I heard it, the production from Ninth Wonder and Crisis was the perfect match for Sean. And man, he killed a lot of these songs by himself. Like the one and Violent, King Kong, Mess You Made. That was a single. That was like the last track on the album, and he talk about his life and personal struggles he had in his life. Peabody was fire with Rock of Helter Skelter. You know, but the Hearing Aid joint with Sean Dawn, that was a nice collab. The God with Sadat X and Buckshot, I love that joint. Bananas, just a phenomenal boom bap album. We did discuss this on my channel. Check it out. It's like at 500 views, over 500 views now. Salute to everybody that checked out that review we did. Yeah, man, this is a phenomenal album. And this man's discography to me is flawless. I don't think he has a bad album in his discography. Like Monkey Bars was great. This is a great album. Tyson, and even the mixtapes, Master P mixtape, the Donkey Kong Sean mixtape, phenomenal artists. Kept boot camp relevant in the 2000s, and salute to him and his family, man. Rest in peace, Sean Price.
Yeah, definitely. Very, very dope pick for number one. If I had to pick one honorable mention, I'd probably Wu Tang's Eight Diagrams album and whatnot. It's not as bad as people made it out to be and shit like that. I feel like it was kind of experimental with the. Cause people want that old dusty RZA production, which we would never get that RZA again, unfortunately.
Yeah,
So,
I wish we did, man. Shit,
all right.
what happened to him? This is what happened to you, yo.
Wanted to be
We need that. We need that RZA again, yo. Shit,
wanted to be
it's
art
not the same. Yeah, he wanted to start chilling with Quentin Tarantino and shit, doing Hollywood scores for movies and all that. You
right.
know, that's the only honorable mention.
Yeah, I only have a lot of honorable mentions to choose from this year. I mean, a lot of good choices, but some choices I was just like, eh.
I
Because it
got a
was
couple.
just a lot of good choices for '07. I might have to make like another maybe top five list. I don't know.
Right. Shit. I got a couple on here. Scarface made the Maid album. Definitely a banger. I definitely enjoyed that album. Dope production. The songs Never was solid. Dollar. Girl You Know with Trey Songz. Who Do You Believe In? Get Out My Face. He went ape shit on that track. I love that. It's only 12 songs, but that definitely was a solid project. Little Brother, Get Back. This was like the album where Ninth Wonder wasn't a part of it. Like he had left the group. He only did one track on here, Breaking My Heart with Weezy. That was on one of the Weezy Carter 3 session mixtapes. I remember hearing that, back then. Illmind did the majority of the album, and he had some bangers. Sirens was a dope track. Can't Win for Losing. After Party, That Ain't Love. It had some bangs. Not a great album like Minstrel Show, but I don't know. They didn't promote this album, man. I don't even remember this dropping. And like I remember hearing the fourth one. Was it Left Back? I think it was. And even with Left Back, they had some joints, but it wasn't a great album either. But yeah, they sorely miss Ninth Wonder, man. They definitely needed him for this
Yeah.
album, but they still had the bars. Fonte has been a great artist, great lyricist, and rapping cool. I got the Lupe Fiasco, The Cool. This was definitely a solid album. One of his last great album to me, Superstar, was a huge hit. Gotta Eat was dope. Go Watch, love that beat for Go Watch. Hip Hop Saved My Life. The Snoop track High Definition, I love that collab with him and Snoop. Intruder Alert with Sarah Green, definitely a solid. This is the Lupe I miss, yo. He ain't doing this type of music anymore. I don't know why, but missed that. Lupe, Marco Polo, Port Authority, dope compilation album. I love his boom bap production. He had a lot of features on here. Rock Marcy, he had a good track, Lay It Down. Buckshot with Go Around, that was dope. Cool G Rap and DV Alias Christ on Her Tales, that was a banger. Sadat X, Juju of the Beatnuts, and AG on a track called Rollin'. Great collab. Definitely, Marco Polo is another producer that doesn't get mentioned, like a Jake One, and he putting out some heat, man. I definitely enjoy his stuff. And that's it.
Dope. All right, and that concludes our list and whatnot. Yeah, this was a very fun list, man. Honestly, it was a very, very, very dope list and shit. I don't know what year we're gonna do next. I'm gonna have to get some time to think about that one. But I would definitely let you know whenever I do it, shit, just to keep you updated and shit. But without further ado, it's your boy Reg in the building. Got my homeboy Trout with me, and I'll see y'all later. Peace. Appreciate it.